Oye, mi gente, us caribeños know we need to stay refreshed cuando hay tremendo calor. Bueno, Kawi Lemon Lime Soda's got you. Since 1948, this crisp and refreshing soda has been helping us beat the heat. Kawi Lemon Lime is like the taste of sunshine sparkling off the clear blue waters of Cuba. Okay, bueno, or Miami. Y con zero aftertaste, the tart, sweet, bubbly Kawi Lemon Lime is perfect for quenching your thirst. Así que what are you waiting for? Find the authentically Cuban taste of Kawi Lemon Lime Soda in stores now.
This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season
6 of
Pero Let Me Tell You. Alright, mi gente. Now, as you may know, hearing us over 250 episodes now, we kind of do some pop-ups. And we kind of have our food, you know, we have our fingers in the food world. One of the perks of that is that we've met so many great people. And two of those people are here with us today. From Lucha, we've got Chris and Nicole. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Very happy to be here.
Yay, I love it. I've been actually wanting to have you guys on the show for a while now, mostly because, you know, since Lucha is all about donuts. And
I mean, who doesn't want to talk about donuts?
right, and we love donuts. I'm like, well, why would we not have you on the show to talk about, you know, one of our favorite things in the world? Mm-hmm. So
Really is.
it really is. I mean, we're not even joking. Like, straight up. Actually, and also I wanted to bring you on so we could yet again revisit Darian's desire to make donuts, and you can
The whole
and-
cupcake craze.
and maybe you can tell him how to really do it.
Okay.
That ship
the
has sailed
recipe.
now.
That ship has sailed. Is that we're done?
That ship has
We
sailed.
moved on. We moved on. No, but you know, so again, so Lucha Dough, you know, you guys are our local pop-up donut shop, right? I think
Yeah.
that's fair to say. And your whole theme surrounds like luchador, right? That's why Lucha Dough. Duh, it's wrestling, which I'm a fan of as well, and well, you are as well. I mean, or you used to be more into it.
I mean, I used to have ringside seats to go see The Rock, and I had a poster that said Jabroni.
Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah.
The late 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
But how did all of this happen? Like, how did you start with the donuts? How did you think, you know what, wrestling, that'll be the good fit for this?
What is
Like,
your origin story?
Yeah, like, you know, as any good luchador, right? Like, what's the origin story?
So, do you want me to start with the love of donuts or with the love of wrestling story?
I say marry them.
Marry them. They all did.
Take a while.
They all did start around the same time. Okay, well, I'll start with the love of donuts.
All right.
So, do you guys ever went to the Walmart right here on Candle on 88th?
Yeah.
Well, before there used to be a Nathan's. I don't know if you remember, inside of the Walmart. In front of the Nathan's, there was a mini donut shop. It was just a lady making powdered donuts. The donuts were like $2-3 for a whole little bag. And so my mom would always get the little bag of donuts, so basically I can shut up while she shops. And that's literally where my love of donuts started. And the wrestling kind of started around the same time. I was like 5 or 6 years old. I walked in on my brother watching wrestling.
Okay.
I need to reword that.
You paused at the wrong moment in
Yeah.
that story, right? Like, it's like I walked in on my brother.
Doing what? You were 5 or 6 years old.
Right. Like, we can remove the edit. We'll remove the pause. Yeah.
Or maybe just keep it. Makes it more interesting. But yeah, and yeah. So I and then I was just curious what exactly he was watching. I believe he was watching at the time. I think it was Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. It was already like the early 2000s, and
Cena and all
yeah, they're when they first started wrestling and everything, and the Attitude Era was slowly dying. Yeah, that's when I started getting into wrestling. I've always been a wrestling fan, and of course donuts my whole life. And summer 2020 came around, and I got laid off as a reconstruction supervisor. And then
So you got laid off probably because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, I got laid off just like everyone, and everyone decided to become a chef during that time.
And baked bread.
Yeah,
Big
Bread
Baked
was the
bread.
big thing.
A lot of yeast in the world that year.
Everyone, like, it was just I don't know where so many stuff, a lot of stuff was going on. May 2020, I decided to I was craving donuts, and everything was still in the times of everything being iffy if you can go out and all that.
Right.
And so I just looked up a recipe. I've always liked to kind of cook, and I just looked up a recipe for donuts. and I made donuts off of a recipe I found on Google, and I didn't think anything of it. I just like, okay, I made donuts.
What kind of donuts did you make that first time?
I just found some New York style brioche donuts recipe, but I just made them for myself. I didn't think anything of it. And then I found another recipe, and I was like, that recipe wasn't that good. And then I just kept going from there. But then I was like, wait, what if I make my own donuts? And that's when I became obsessed with everything that goes into the donut, from the sugar to the yeast to the flour. I wanted to know what exactly one ingredient does to the other, because I don't have any baking experience. And it was just day and night. I remember I would wake up every morning that summer, and I would study, write notes. And then at 10 o'clock at night, that's when I'll decide, okay, I think I know what to do now. And I'll make a recipe, it'll fail, and I'll restart the next day and the next day and the next day, all the way until August. I did that.
So it was literally like the summer of donuts.
Exactly. It was very stressful. I got hives just from trying to figure it out.
Really?
I had to take time off. The business
Wait, you became so obsessed.
Yeah, I did.
shocking.
Yeah. And what's funny is that when I first made that one recipe off of Google somewhere, I texted her, hey, I think we got something here, just messing around. And then after that, I got obsessed with the idea. And then I was like, okay. And I started making recipes. And I was like, wait, do you put this amount of sugar and that amount of yeast and all that? Long story short, yeah, I had to take some time off. And because I got stressed before the business even started. And August came around. I finally, what I thought, I perfected the recipe. I needed a theme, and I've always loved pro wrestling. I went to Full Sail University for computer animation, but I went because WWE records out of there. And I for NXT, which is their development show.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, maybe that will lead me into potentially becoming something in the wrestling world.
Did you want to be a wrestler?
I wanted to be a referee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Unsung hero.
Because I have a lot of injuries, so I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And how do I take this? Yeah, and then so I went for that, and I never became, obviously, an animator. And so the whole wrestling love has always been there, and then I just needed a theme. At first, I was actually going to do 90s music and wrestling. That was going to be my original theme.
And it was a completely different name.
It was a completely different name.
I like the 90s music and wrestling, especially since I think that wrestling had a peak in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly why. And I'm huge on 90s nostalgia.
Yeah.
I would spend hours just watching 90s commercials, but that's a different story.
That's a story we need to get into at some point, because we love 90s commercials as well.
Yeah,
so,
I'll just watch reruns of McDonald's 90s commercials.
You know the best, like Taco Bell. Like the
Yes,
Taco Bell of
with
the
the-
90s with the pink and purple and all that.
Yeah, and then later on the Chihuahua.
The Chihuahua.
So yeah, at first it was gonna be I just needed a theme. So I was like, okay, I got the recipe down, and then at first it was gonna be 90s pro wrestling and then music. But then I was like, I don't know how long I could keep that up for, how relevant that can be. But then so I just broke it down to pro wrestling. Pro wrestling has always been pretty relevant, and and then I went through a bunch of names.
Well, because we were going through the trademark process.
Yes, we were going through a trademark
Or
process.
the original name was Notorious Donuts, right?
Yeah, we were Notorious Donuts, but there's a bunch of places in the
Really?
U.S. in the food industry called Notorious Pig, Notorious Dat, Notorious.
Yeah. The Notorious B.I.G.
Yes.
See, I'm thinking like if they had gone with the 90s theme, they could have been called You Oughta Dough.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, this is gonna segue into a whole other.
That could be your
the interview.
spin-off. You oughta dough.
Right? Like, it's 90s.
And then you walk into the donut shop and then Alanis Morissette. Okay, enough. Okay.
We just gave someone a whole other.
Yeah, somebody
idea.
just took this idea and running
They're
with
like,
it.
trademarking that now. Yeah. So I just decided. Where was I? Just talking about the whole trademark. I went in the whole trademarking process. I was running through names, Top Rope Donuts, this and that. I think I had Bruiser Donut after Bruiser Brody. And that didn't sound too catchy. I had Brutstein Donuts, just a bunch of random names. And eventually I came down to Wrestle Dough or Lucha Dough. I thought both of them were pretty stupid. But I just was like, okay, one of them has to work. And then she was like, no, repeat it. And I'll repeat Lucha Dough. And I was like, Lucha Dough? She's like, you don't get it? And I was like, I don't get it. She's like, Luchador. And I was like, oh.
And this is why they say behind every man there's a great woman.
Exactly.
Because if not for you, my dear,
it would not have such a catchy name.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's actually pretty good.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's one of those names where like you almost think like, oh, nobody had taken that already.
Yeah.
You know, when
and
I
I
hear
think-
those types of
Nowhere.
names.
And I also think that lucha is like a little bit more Latin, so it's a luchador, you know, and it's Miami, and you know, yeah.
When he said luchador, I thought of luchador as like not only as a wrestler, but more of like you're hustling, you're trying to
Right.
find a way.
No, it works on two levels. Yeah.
So I was like, hey, like it has two meanings. Like it makes sense.
Double entendre.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I hate is when people call it lucha though.
Oh.
And then
Lucha?
yeah.
Yeah.
What's a lucha?
And most of the time, it's a lot of Latin people that they just go straight for luchado, which is very ironic. They're like, "Oh, luchado, what does that mean?" I'm like, "Oh, it's luchado."
Pero si es que it's literally in their language. It's lucha.
No.
Right, but you know what? It's one of those things that sometimes you're thinking in English and you're overthinking, and it's a Spanish word, and you're like luchado.
Yeah. So a lot of the time, it's called luchado, but
No.
it's okay.
It's
We refuse. It's luchado. damn
But you
it.
know what
No.
though? Like your branding is so obvious that it's the wrestling theme that it's like
Right.
Even if for a split second you're thinking lucha, it's like, oh, the ring. You know, you literally have a ring on your
Yeah.
like.
The donuts are in a ring.
Yes, so you know.
Oh, but that sometimes even throws people
Yeah.
off. They're like, "Oh, luchado," and it's a boxing ring.
Okay,
they're
well,
like-
you know what? I can't help you. I can't help you.
We get that all the time. They'll be like, "Oh wow, how cute! Look,
It's a
sweetie,
boxing ring.
look at the donuts. They're boxing."
So cute.
It's like, oh,
so cute.
and then yeah.
Okay,
they
so
follow
you're- so you're
But
luchador.
there's also a luchador mask. Like,
It's
They think
not gonna make sense.
They think it's a skeleton half the time.
It's
a
not gonna
skull.
make sense.
So it's a lot of mixed reviews.
Okay, so you come up with luchado. You know, you're making these big donuts. But what made you take the leap to be like, you know, I'm gonna sell this?
Well, I guess that will segue to the next part. I just once I finished finalizing the name, I was selling that at my house. Originally, my idea was I wanted to do a drive-through place where you just watch pro wrestling, because so I live on my father's house. I live with my father, and he has 2 acres of land. So I was gonna do basically pull in, and then you watch. I had a projector, and you would watch pro wrestling while you're in your car, and I'll just deliver the donuts to you, and then you can leave at your convenience. And that's literally when I just started taking that never happened, by the way.
The screen broke.
The screen, yeah, the
The
screen and the
winds of
projector
Miami.
broke, and no one wanted to really stay there, and because it's in the middle of nowhere, it's in the Redlands, so it's really dark. I just what made me take the leap was I was setting out of my house, that was going oh so well, and then how did I even start?
The leap wasn't even that. The leap was just you always wanted to own a business, and then you came up with
See,
something.
you always need.
You had an idea and it worked, and then that's why Luchador was created.
yeah, because I gotta say, deciding to go into a pop up was very scary for us.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
we didn't
because
even know what a pop up was.
really.
No.
So how did you even fall into that area of it? Like starting to do the pop ups? Because I mean, when we did the pop ups, we were like, okay, we've been to a few. We know, like Burger Beast does his pop ups, and so for us it was like, well, it's Burger Beast pulled the trigger for us, frankly. But so then, what led you to even say like, yeah, we'll just go to sell it at a bar? And,
Well, what's funny is that
and all
both of
that.
us had, well, both you guys and us, we've had our first pop up at Union, so that was pretty cool.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
should we say Seth has really just
Yeah.
been part of everybody's origin story at this point?
Yeah.
Oh, how did we even find ourselves in
Well,
Union?
Union was because of Los from Massacraft.
Yeah, that's where we started.
So
which is very close to
Oh,
Seth. They're
Massacraft
both
is so
close.
good.
They're so good.
Yes,
The
they're-
best vegan croqueta ever. That's like
still
it's a
haven't had
mushroom
the
croqueta.
vegan.
It's so
oh
good.
my god! Like last year in Croqueta Palooza, it was like the best croqueta.
It shouldn't be that good.
It's
They're
ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
But see, that makes sense because Union Beer, their whole motif is wrestling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it makes total sense that you guys would find each other,
Somehow,
magically
yeah.
as a tag team made in heaven, as it were.
Yeah, it started like in the beginning. We went there like about 2 or 3 times, but yeah, it was originally because of Massacraft. I caught Los is a huge wrestling collector, wrestling memorabilia, and action figures and everything, and so he.
Didn't he like show up on
I just complimented him on his collection and everything, and then he was like, "Hey, I have a restaurant down here. I would like for you to basically swing by. Maybe we can pop up together." I went. I took some. His wife reached out to us, Naira, and I took them some donuts. And then from there, he literally told me the words. He's like, dude, from here, everyone's going to like know your name.
Not lying.
And and then after that,
So we set up with them a pop-up for Valentine's Day.
That was supposed to be our first pop-up.
That was supposed to be the first one. And then I think he mentioned us to Union, and then it was Union's anniversary. And then they're like, hey, let's do it. And we're like, okay, let's do this. We didn't know anything about the brewery scene. We didn't know what a pop-up was at all at that point. And mind you, since we started in 2020, we also didn't know what a pop-up was because of that. It wasn't
True. Yeah, there was
wasn't
a
a thing.
moratorium. Yeah.
It wasn't a thing, and that's kind of how it started, the pop-up scene, essentially.
Yeah, and then from there, after that was just word of mouth, and one person would tell the other, and that's honestly how we started building a name. And we just started. I would just show up to breweries or show up to places with a box of donuts, and it's like, hey, I would love to set up here if you guys don't have dessert. And and that's how I.
It's kind of hard to say no to that.
Yeah,
I mean, just saying. Saying.
Also, that's a perk you guys have that we don't, because we can't just show up with a fryer and stand outside and be like, "Give us 10 minutes. We're just gonna
Our
make
wings
this for you."
get soggy
Yeah,
after a little
yeah.
while.
Fine if we connect this right.
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
It's
Like, just give us 10 minutes. We'll heat it up and we'll get you some wings so you can maybe let us come to your brewery. It doesn't work that way.
That'll be so. Yeah, and then after that, it's just been nonstop. Well, I mean, at least 2021 and 2022 was probably the time when Lucha was just popping up. Every single brewery. We would be doing from Thursday through Sunday. An event at least, and just a lot of hours.
For sure, the brewery scene, we owe a lot to, I feel, because it gave us, not owe a lot, but we have to recognize that we got a name, and we've gotten to get a crowd because of that, because if not, that door would have never really been open. We wouldn't have known where to start, I feel.
Yeah, I would say that, even for us, the brewery scene has been this unexpected, door, right?
Yeah.
It really does get your name out there, and it's funny because you don't think about it, right? Like, especially when you're starting out, you're like, well, fine, I'll go here because you're giving me a shot,
right?
But that really is kind of where the pop-up scene lives and dies in South Florida, at least. I would say it's between the breweries and the tap rooms and and all of that. So it's when I'm gonna co-opt what you just said, I'm like, I think we owe a lot of our success to the brewery.
It's a very specific genre, if you will, because it's not even food trailer or food truck culture. It's separate from that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Are You Hungry Grill, which they just opened up a brick and mortar. I mean, he started popping up in breweries.
Yeah.
That's like how they originally started, and then he got a food truck, and then he got a brick and mortar. So
graduated.
A lot of the top restaurants, at the time, right now, in the moment, have started.
Yeah.
As a pop-up in 2020.
As a pop-up in 20 and in a craft.
Thanks,
brewery.
pandemic.
okay, so tell us, because I love all donuts, so it's like very hard for me to be objective when it comes to donuts. Tell us what are some of like the favorites like that people time and time order.
It all depends on location, really. If we're in Hialeah, it's guava and cheese.
That tracks. That tracks.
And then
I know nothing about guava and cheese.
most of the time it's just it's the guava and cheese
The
and
bacon.
we have it bacon.
Brown butter maple bacon.
Our brown butter maple bacon does really well. That one does well overall in general.
Yeah.
It's funny, we started off with really extreme flavors when we started, and now we're going into the basics. Like, we just a month ago released like a chocolate donut, and we've never had one like a classic chocolate
Not with
donut
anything on it.
and a strawberry donut. Like, we're going in reverse here.
I agree. As a donut lover, I always say this. I've told you guys, your donut can have a ton of things on it. If your glazed donut is not like really good or like a basic chocolate, because I feel that's the foundation, right?
Of course,
that's
how
the
they
foundation.
judge you.
Yeah.
Or that the French curler that you make, amazing.
Thank you.
But sometimes I feel those are things that they're more than the sum of their parts. They're very simple, but it's magic. Like a simple, to me, like a simple sugar raised donut with just a little, sugar and a little bit of cinnamon.
Ooh.
When it's done and it's light,
I mean, obviously, like, vanilla glaze is always a great seller. It's a
Yeah.
classic. You those always sell. I don't think we've
Any donut
really
shop.
ever had a time a glazed has not sold anywhere.
Yeah, no, my favorite of you guys is actually the little the donut holes.
Yes.
I think
I
it's
love the taro.
The taro, thank
Yeah,
you,
I love
thank
it.
you. That was like, I think it's like purple color. Yeah, the taro. Oh my god, that's so.
You
good.
know, I first
would
had
have never thought.
I
to
first
order
had
that.
taro in So in Dateland Station, there's you know where Target is and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the way in the bottom, there's a sushi place.
Right, land, and they have they have a taro like smoothie there. With have you guys had it?
I've had
No.
it. Yeah.
It is. Oh my god! It is. It's in this place called Lang. It's like a smoothie, and they put like heavy cream in it.
Oh, well, I mean,
freaking.
anything with heavy cream is
And
great.
that's when I first had taro. Ever since that, like anything I see on a menu that has taro, I have. So when you're, you know, your little donut holes like with taro, I was like, nice.
So damn good.
And nobody has that. Like I've never seen that.
I got
donut.
that. So living in Orlando, I lived in Winter Park, and there was a bunch of boba shops. In that time, I lived there from 2014 to 2016, and there was a boba shop in every corner, and that's kind of where I found out about taro, and they combine a lot of taro and Fruity Pebbles and everything there. So,
Which is the other one I love of you guys with the Fruity Pebbles.
oh, that's the taro one.
Oh, it's a Taro one?
Yeah.
That's Fruity Pebbles.
Why do I remember them separately?
I have maybe because I had a Fruity Pebbles donut in the beginning.
I also love
that might
the,
be- I'm like,
the donut holes you have. The ones that are just cinnamon sugar.
Yes.
Those are so good. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
See, the problem is that we've had all of your donuts, and so now we're just mixing them all together, and you know,
Yeah,
in our
of
in
course.
our memory, it's like, wait, what about this
what
one?
what,
Like,
what is
yeah.
a donut that you have made that when you know, especially a more complex one, that when you made it, you were like, coño, like this is good, like
Ooh.
me la comí, like
I had one recently, didn't we?
I'm trying to remember.
We've had so many.
Recently.
We need a moment of
coffee
silence.
roll?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
So because I make the donuts, I tend to not even eat my own donuts.
I don't
So
have our wings.
Yeah, exactly. So it takes a lot for me to really like have one entire
I
donut.
know which one. It is the lavender Fruit Loops one.
Oh yes, that one's insane.
I have to
That one.
say that one was good because I've always said I don't eat floral flavored things because it always tastes like a bottle of violetas.
Yeah.
Not the case with that one.
Thank you.
Not the case with that donut. So I'm gonna put that out there. I understand where you're coming from because it's very easy to
yeah,
just
because
smell like
floral things a lot of times taste like the extract.
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Like you could
Right.
tell this came from an extract.
No,
Like,
I made sure to sweeten it up enough to like not because like at first it does taste like that, and then you gotta just sweeten it up a little bit.
Yeah. I think with like anything like that, it's either you're going for perfume, it's gonna taste like perfume, like you said, or it'll taste like a soap.
so
Neither one is very appealing
So-
for a
There's
donut.
also a flan donut. We have a flan donut and we have a bunch. We had like a honey and cream donut.
Wait, I think I had that one.
We had a Colombian hot chocolate donut. We had a lot of
so
random ones.
what
My favorite was the Valentine's one.
what inspires you? And once you say, okay, I'm gonna try to do this donut, how is your creation process?
My creation process? Honestly, based on whatever I personally like, that's kind of how I go about it. I have a very bitter palate, so that's kind of where it all. That's my starting point.
That's great.
So
I have a bitter palate.
it's angry at the
So-
world. Like,
by that I mean I have to. That's how my always my starting base. I'm like, okay, I don't want something so sweet. I want it slightly on the salty side, but also like yeah, bitter essentially. And then from there I scale up from there with the flavors. That doesn't even answer the question honestly. What inspires me is I think of a flavor, whether it's from my travels. Most of the time when we travel is when I come up with new flavors. I see what other people are doing. I get the inspiration. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Let me try to apply it to a donut. And yeah, stuff that I like. And then also what I always do is, let's say if I'm doing honey, I literally will search up like something like wrestling honey related and just see if it makes sense in my,
like,
in
like
my
how to
whole little world.
like how to keep it on theme.
Exactly.
and
I try to see
marry
like
it
has there been a
together.
wrestler named after
A bee
this?
or honey or
yes, or something
okay.
related
Okay.
where I can associate it to wrestling. That's kind of where I have to make sure to.
Yeah, it's on brand.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, if you do a beef jerky donut,
Oh,
you could do
man.
a Macho Man. Step into a Slim Jim.
It could be the
It
savage
could be your
donut.
the Savage Donut. It's a savory donut.
Yeah, there you go. Like the Fruity Pebbles ones are named that just because of the crazy outfits he had. So that's why it's so colorful.
R.I.P. Randy.
It's for real. And then honestly, the inspiration just comes very sporadically. I would
It
say.
also just comes from in his brain. I don't really know how they come up.
I have real no. Go on.
Or if we're eating somewhere, we love to eat. So, well, some kind of dessert will inspire him and be like, wait, I can make this into a donut and I'll add this flavor or that flavors. I always get amazed about that because my brain does not work that
Or I
way.
try to see what like is a common dessert, like the rice pudding, and then I'm like, what if I can just put that in a donut hole, for example?
Right.
Or just top of the line stuff where it's like people use. You don't really see people here in Miami go that crazy with it. So
Yeah, I think it might also go back to the fact that you did study animation, so I think your brain probably works in that creative mode automatically to the point where you don't even stop to think, how does this happen? It's just in your head and it falls out of your it falls out of your mouth, right? Like it's just one of those like boom, here's the idea.
maybe that's why I can't even explain it, honestly. that answers the question. I generally can't really explain. It just comes out of nowhere.
And so how is your process in terms of like, okay, I'm gonna do this donut. Like, do you have taste groups? Are you the taster?
I am the professional
How do we become
test
part of the
taster.
focus group is really
Yes, if you ever want to be part of the focus group, I'm volunteering.
It's the only reason he
Yes,
asked that question is because we want to be part of the focus group.
It's donuts. I mean, even a bad donut is good.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I honestly I'll make something, like for example a glaze, and then she'll taste it. I just try to keep it simple. I have her taste it, and I have like my family try it out and stuff like that. And then, but there is times where I'll make something that tastes great alone, but then you put it on a donut and you lose it.
Yeah, it doesn't always translate to the
Exactly.
Yeah,
combination.
So
I know.
that's my whole process. So I'll start off with just making a very small sample of whether it's a glaze or a filling. I'll try it out. I'll make like a batch of donuts, and we'll try it. I'll do a small batch, try it out, and see if you can taste it or not. See what has to be worked on. Or there's been times, which is almost like 80% of the time, I'll make, let's say, a filling and a glaze, and then I'll just risk it, put it on the donut. I taste it that same day I'm selling it, and then we just go ahead and sell it.
Day of you are brave.
Yeah, 'cause
You are brave. When I come up with a new chicken wing flavor, I like it goes through rounds and rounds and rounds of like taste testing. Like
I'm surprised he doesn't take days off from
Yeah,
work
because
just to stay
can't-
home and like finalize it. Yeah.
your hive moments. Like I'm like I can't sell this. Like I can't like yeah. I don't have those cojones.
the way I just think of it is like right now I'm relatively small, so take advantage now. So then once I do have a storefront,
That's true.
I can have like a stable menu
Right.
and everything. I know what works and what does not work.
Yeah, we've had flavors sometimes that we're like, this is amazing, it's gonna work so well, and then it just doesn't work well. No one wants to buy it, no one's interested, and it's like, oh, okay.
Or the sun messes it up.
Or quite
Yeah,
the
heat.
opposite.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we aren't, like, the flavor's good, but we're not, like, crazy about it, and then it sells amazing. We're like, well, now we gotta keep this one.
Have you guys made a lemon curd?
Lemon curd,
Like a lemon donut or lemon.
I made key lime, but not lemon. Like not just a
like
lemon curd.
like the lemon curd. Oh, que rico. So I mean, I've told you guys before. I think you're doing God's work because I mean, Miami until 10 years ago didn't have donut shops. We only had Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts, and now we have a couple, but still, like I feel that for being such a big city, you guys are doing your part in bringing donut culture here. I was telling you that we were in LA last month, and LA has a donut shop in every corner. I was like, this is heaven. Like this is what heaven looks like. I mean, literally in every corner. That's why I was telling you guys you should go out there when you can, to just get a little bit of, see how it is, get a little bit of inspiration and all that, because it like the type of donuts you make compared to a manufactured donut, and no offense to them, to what they do, but like these boxed manufactured donuts,
They can't compare to your artist.
yeah, I mean, and like I love that it's something local. You do have some local flavors, and more donuts on the scene. Like that's you're doing God's work.
Yeah, we've had a few donut shops and they've closed down. So down here, in Miami.
That's actually true. Yeah. I don't know. I is it that Miami just doesn't like donuts? But we do. We like.
No, they
we
do.
like
They do.
sweets. Like,
They
I
do.
don't-
But I mean, now with the pandemic, everything. Because I think I know which donut shop you're talking about. And they were around for a while, but the pandemic kind of threw everybody
true, for a little
a curveball at everybody, and you know, and all that. And price point is a thing. I mean, as we were talking about earlier, it is a thing. So you got to know where you're at and all that. But still, I feel there's always going to be, you know, the same argument can be made with our product. I mean, because I think our chicken wings are expensive. Like I tell them all the time, I'm like, this is expensive. There is a certain audience for people that like, you know, artisanal things, like local things, and
Tell me my product is expensive.
we had a little issue a couple of pop-ups ago that he hasn't let go. That some guy was like, "That's how much you're charging for what was it, 10 wings?"
For 10 wings, yeah.
And
we get that all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, this is the first time in like
It's
almost 2 years
annoying.
of doing it, and it was like, well, that's our price, and he just kind of stood there.
Yeah, he kind of stood there like waiting for us to be like, "Okay, no, we'll lower the
for
price."
you $3. Like no, like I would like, well, that's our price. Oh, but well, that's our price. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm not gonna give you a discount, especially not now because you're being a dick.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. That part always makes me overthink so much. But then I have to always remind myself, like, if it's worth it, the person will actually pay double. If they really want it, they'll pay double. If not, I mean, it's kind of like one of those, like, okay, dude, like, just walk away. You don't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not asking you to buy. I'm not begging you. Just
Thank you. That's
like-
what I'm
Right,
saying.
and
keep
also
the
on the
comments
product because
yourself.
even your donuts, like your donuts are really big. So whereas somebody, you know, I could probably eat easily 4 or 5 glazed donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. Like I can't eat 4 or 5 glazed donuts from Lucha dough.
Yeah.
You know, I would, but I'd pass out. Like, you know, so I mean, it's like a much bigger, heartier, you know, product.
You're getting more for your buck.
Yeah, that's like we always joke that our chicken wings are mutants because have you seen the size of our
Yes,
chicken?
they are.
It's
We
like,
love that.
so we
meaty.
feel a little bit more comfortable charging a little bit more for it. But
No, and you got to take into account all the hard work that goes behind it. But customers don't realize that unless you're in the industry. They
Yeah, but I also stand by the fact that, like, you know, this is someone, you know, you're not gonna walk into like a chain restaurant, right, and go to the
say
waiter
that
and be
all the
like,
time.
this seems very expensive for the product that you're charging.
Yeah.
Because you know what the waiter's going to tell you? Yeah, what the hell do you want me to do about it, right? So it's like they feel that they can do this with a local business. You know what I mean? And it's like, why?
and especially when they see you under a little canopy,
Right,
And
yeah,
like a
they're
little
like-
booth, they're like, I can take advantage.
Yeah,
of that
it's like,
person.
no, you can't, and no, you will not.
no, you're not.
And then you got to give a convincing speech, like, well, this is how it's made.
Oh no, I don't bother with that. I
it's
just
a lot
literally
of
say
work.
that's our price, and I just stare at them.
We're lucky. It was only that one guy, one person.
Yeah, it's the only one so far. But
So-
you know.
No, we've had that happen often, but
Yeah, we've had a couple.
Well, I'll live vicariously through you guys because I had to also mention to you, donuts. It's what I originally wanted to do, and because I love them. I love donuts, and I had been saying this was. I'm not kidding. Like I was in college, and I was like, Miami doesn't have a donut shop. Like, why don't we have a donut shop? And I even got You know the thing about me with trying to make donuts, I cook well. I think I do. I could not get. You know how you said, I just found a recipe on Google and I made a donut and I'm sure it came out amazing. I went through like 4 or 5 recipes and like I
it was
couldn't.
raw in the middle.
I couldn't get it right. I don't know if I wasn't proofing my yeast. Like I don't know what I did wrong, but I couldn't get it right. So I gave up.
But that's okay because now we have lucha dough.
Now we have Lucha.
Yeah.
And bean pan pollo. So everybody's in their lane. Everybody's,
course.
you know, and we're both working with guayaba y queso.
Yes.
So everybody
very true.
wins.
We would have
especially-
ping pong donuts. That doesn't have the same ring.
No, it doesn't. And really, at the end of the day, you know who the winner is? Big guayaba.
Yes.
There you go.
They're the ones who come out on top after all this.
No, definitely that whole summer of 2020, like learning all the science behind yeast, like how you were saying, it's such a baking is everything is science and ratios and everything. I learned that the hard way, and even till this day, I'm still tweaking my dough constantly. Yes, because there's like you learn constantly new things. Like when I thought that the trout, like I said, like every night I was making a dough and I was increasing this, decreasing that, or whatever, and then till this day, I'm still. It's a whole science, and sometimes when you think you got it, the weather outside controls the dough. If it's cold, it slows everything down. It's just a lot of stuff, and it all depends. Everyone has a different dough, so I can't tell you like, hey, do this, and
Right. But it's okay. That ship has passed and sailed, and you guys are the one doing it now.
Yes, and now that we do pop-ups next to you, we get our fair share of donuts.
We sure
at
do.
At least once a month.
Sure do. We sure do. You know, I love that about pop-up culture is that like we barter food. Like,
Yeah, literally everywhere.
Yeah, you just come back with a goodie bag.
It's true. Like my boyfriend gets excited whenever I do like the new era one that we're all at, because it's like, okay, so today you're coming back with donuts and pizza. Like he knows off the bat that he's getting fed.
A couple
It's like dinner's covered.
Exactly.
We were next to Josh's Pizza, which we all shout out to Josh. We all love Josh, and he came out with this new pizza that it was like a 4-cheese pizza, but it had like gorgonzola, which I love blue cheese
With the apricot.
Yes, with the apricot and
insane.
the prosciutto. I was like, what? I was like, how many wings do you want? You want 30 wings? Here you go. Give me your pizza.
It's insane. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So damn good. But well, as we wrap up, you know, everybody can find you obviously on Instagram.
Yes.
You know, you're at Lucha Dough, right? All one word. It's
Yes.
not, it's not at Lucha _Dough because somebody stole it or any of that nonsense,
It's
right?
at Lucha though.
And they can find you literally all over South Florida, right? I mean, chances are it's probably harder to not find you at a brewery or a pop-up or an event. I mean, at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It has. I can't deny it has slowed down quite a bit, just because we're trying to work out on more of the backstage stuff of what goes behind Lucha though.
Don't lie. It's because you want to keep people wanting more.
No.
So you're building up the demand
I
by
wish
like
that could be the case.
by disappearing a little bit. You're just making us
Yeah.
want you more. And I am onto your tricks. I'm in marketing. I know how this works.
And so, yeah, they can find us at breweries and market. And hopefully, down the line, maybe in a year or two, we'll have a shop. So, just trying to speak it into existence.
That's the dream.
Not maybe.
It's
It's not an if. It's a when.
It'll be the biggest dream, I guess you can say, for a donut and wrestling lover. So, because everything, it's going to be awesome.
Where can you get a donut and watch wrestling?
I mean, well, now that you don't have the screen in your father's backyard,
I
nowhere, nowhere, really.
I mean,
All right.
anyway, bueno, thank you so much for coming on, and everybody check out their donuts.
Yeah,
They're
it's
freaking
so
amazing.
good.
They really, really are.
damn good.
That's why we had them on the show, because they are that good.
Yeah, we don't have people on if we don't like the product.
Yeah, no.
As a rule.
Thank you.
I have a question. Wings or donuts for you guys? I mean,
Donuts.
really?
For sure.
Well, it depends.
I mean, one's a dessert, one's a
Right. That's
savory,
why it's a
but
little like. But you know what?
for
I'm
you,
gonna,
it's donut.
but I'm gonna go with donuts because donuts, like, I'm not having a wing at 9 a.m.
Okay, got
But I
it.
can have a donut at 9
You know
a.m.
the funny thing
and at 9
about me
p.m.
with wings?
That's true.
I even before I did Ping Pong Pollo, I mean, I liked wings like a normal person likes wings. Like,
Okay.
if I went to like Flanagan's or something or Sports Grills, okay, I'm gonna have their wings. But I wasn't like this wing person. I started doing wings because everybody would tell me these are the best wings I've ever had. So because we were inspired by pop-up culture, we were like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we should take a shot at it. But between wings and a donut any day. Any day. I'm telling you, I'm not, when I tell you this, I love donuts, it's not me like blowing smoke up your ass. Like, I'm obsessed with donuts.
There
like,
you go.
I mean, they're so good. I mean, who doesn't like a donut? If you don't like a donut, you're a terrorist.
That's your T-shirt, by the way. I think you should make that your T-shirt. If you don't like donuts,
my
you're a
God.
terrorist.
We've come up with so much IP.
I know.
And then have the Iron Sheik spitting in the
There,
back.
you know what? Again, R.I.P. My friend.
Yeah,
He just
yesterday.
passed away. Yeah.
But that would be great. The Iron Sheik and that, what you just said right there, I think it'll go well.
Yeah. Anyway,
Listen, take them. They're yours.
They're
All
yours.
these
You can have
ideas
them.
are yours. We
can have them.
freely give
We're
them
with
to you.
friends, so.
Okay, guys. But again, thank you so much for swinging
Thank
by,
you for having us.
and thank you for keeping us fed
Oh,
at all
sure.
these
Of course.
pop-ups.
Always.
See you this Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Well, whenever this comes out.
Yep. It's you'll see us on a Saturday for
Okay.
sure. Yeah. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.